Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft Season 6. My oh my, what a beautiful crazy sight we've got over there. The Statue of Hermity. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be its name. If you've got an idea for a name for this thing, put it in the comments down below. And oh, let's talk about the thumbnail of the last video. You know, when I put out a video, I'm anticipating this type of comment, that type of comment. What do the peeps think about this, about that? The last thing that I expected was a load of comments saying that my thumbnail was clickbait. When I picked out the image that I used from Google search, I was just wanting to get a Statue of Liberty that was made in Minecraft that wasn't my one, so the thumbnail didn't spoil what was in it. And that statue was made out of diamond blocks. That didn't really cross my mind at all. I wasn't thinking about that at all. And then I got a load of comments saying it's clickbait because of the diamond blocks. Oh, come on guys. You know, when I make video thumbnails, I'm trying to entice you into the video to see what's on the inside. The difference is with clickbait and what I do is that I deliver. I actually built a ginormous statue that was far bigger than the one you saw in the thumbnail, you know? So I just wanted to find a way to represent what I was going to do, and I'll probably do something similar in this one. In fact, what I was going to do was take the same structure I built over there, turn its face into ice for the thumbnail. If that's no longer the thumbnail, then it's because I've decided that apparently that might be too clickbaity. Because I want to work with ice in this episode. There is a whole bunch of projects lined up in my mind that's going to enable us to do loads of cool stuff. And I feel like ice is the next resource that I want to go after. It's going to enable me to do a few things moving forward here on the server. I'm sort of coming over here, pointing up at Scar's tree, which is full of ice. The reason we're actually here is not because of the ice. It's because of the beautiful, gorgeous building that Scar's been doing. I was just watching his last episode, and I didn't even plan on actually coming on here and playing. I was just watching his episode, and I was like, I'm inspired now. I need to get on Hermitcraft and crack on with my next project. Ironically, what I'm inspired for is redstone. We need to do resource gathering. We need observers, pistons, and repeaters by the boatload. And we're going to be building a farm, and it's really nothing as beautiful as this, all this landscaping. So I'm kind of inspired to get on here and play in the opposite direction from the way that I was inspired, I guess. Now, there is already an ice shop on the server, but the problem is it's out of stock last time that I came here, and I need ice in quantities that will basically make me poor if I continue to buy ice from over here. So you can see we're out of the regular ice, and I actually need ice to make compact ice as well, but this stuff is like too expensive for the quantities that I need it in. So we're going to build an industrial farm for personal use, and we're going to be building it over in the industrial district. So I think the first step is to just fly over there, pick out a spot, and then we're not going to be able to build anything for a while. I need to grind materials. I need quartz from the nether, I need redstone, I need stone, I need all sorts of stuff. Oh boy, I'd forgotten about this beautiful place. Those turtles look so happy. Oh. I have been doing some tests, running some experiments around here. We're getting no ice on this platform, but we're getting ice on the platform up there. And I suspected that because there was snow all over the platform. Now, some of the biomes have been renamed in this update. So now we've got stone shore over here and wooded mountains. And these don't have ice freezing in them. But over here we have mountains, which I believe is what used to be extreme hills. And so over here you can see that ice is forming. There are some diagonal blocks as well, as I've been counting out the size of this platform. So we have like a ledge of andesite, and then we have this block here, which I think could be where the walls of a building go, and it wouldn't leave us with much space at all to build on the inside, and furthermore, not a lot of space to throw depth and detail into the building that's going to go around it. As I'm sure you're aware, when I do projects, I like to make them look good as well. So this obviously had a technical use, and then we went and we built something all around it. So what I think we're going to do is extend this platform over here. We're going to bring the andesite across another 3 blocks, so all of those pillars that you see are then in line with here. And we can have it so you sort of go inside the platform a little bit and then curl around to here. So that's all going to come further out closer to this building, which I think will be fine, and we'll also extend it in this direction too. Alright, so I've hammered through some resources, and now we have all of these repeaters, we have all of these pistons, and next up is observers, which means quartz, and going to the nether. Now I got fire protection on my leggings, probably going to brew a couple of potions as well, And I'm thinking we might have a good time here, because I'm going to use some fire rockets? Jeez. Fire rockets to fly through the nether and hopefully find ourselves some nether quartz. It can always be a little bit tricky, right? But we are actually on a brand new server, and flying on this server is so much better than the last one. Things are a lot smoother. I'm also running Optifine as well, so visually things are a little smoother. In fact, we have dynamic lighting now, so when I hold a torch, it kind of lights up around me. But that's only client side, that's not server side. The cool thing about mining quartz is that you get to repair all of your gear. So my tip for you, if you got mending, is to go naked in the nether. It sounds like a terrible tip, right? It sounds like a quick way to get in trouble, especially if there's lava behind this quartz. And look at this, I've almost repaired my pick as well. So yeah, I'm just taking off the armor whenever I mine some quartz. Naked in the nether, fantastic idea. May or may not have had an incident with a blaze that brought me down to 1 heart, forced me to drink my potion, but the inventory is getting pretty full now, isn't it? So I think we should head back. Managed to repair my shovel and axe over here. That's fantastic. But now, let's get these in order. I've got to fly back, and I'm not sure what direction it is. I think it's that way. I hear you, buddy. I hear you. Bam! Right in your face. Oh, we did it. And another one. Bam! Oh, that's so much fun. Hey, there's one more. Bam! And now, my friends, look at all of those redstone components ready to go. Also, this platform here, I kind of assumed it was a square, and it really confused me when I was trying to figure out where the middle was. So I ended up pushing it out a few more blocks in this direction. So, construction begins, and it begins with the ice tray. This is the part where the ice is formed from water. We have space for there to be water blocks on this side, water blocks on that side over there, and in the middle is where they will turn into ice. So there can be nothing above it. It has to have direct contact with the sky up above. Then what we have are some clever redstone circuits here to control these pistons. So from up here we can kind of see what's going on. We have some rails over the back, then observers that go up, observers that go across, and I believe these repeaters might actually need to be on the second setting, so there is a little bit of delay. The observers that go across will create a signal for those pistons to push upwards, and then these ones fire across a moment later, which will eventually actually put ice on top of these blocks here, which are currently a problem. So with ice above them, the water here won't freeze. And now we have ice all above the water here, so that can't freeze, and I place them in the middle so we can demonstrate the machine in action. And around the back here I've got rails to set off all of these observers. Now I could have used redstone wire, but I see all the redstone smarties using these rails, and I wanted to feel like one of them, so we're using the rails to send the signal across. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn my head, and very quickly it has pushed the ice over. But notice how it's left some ice here directly above where that water is below. So there's always going to be ice blocks there, so it won't form just below. And so our ice tray making contraption full of pistons, observers and repeaters has been copied over onto this side, and you may be thinking this design looks familiar. We are going to be building the Ice Cube style farm, which was made popular by Mr. Etho's lab, and you'll see over there are some detector rails similar to the method that he used. So here's the thing, our piston pushers on either side are far enough away that they're not going to push into each other and break something over the back here, so that's great. As the ice forms, eventually we'll have some sort of clock pushing this ice up, pushing it into the middle, and then we need to fire these pistons upwards, so slowly we can start to store this stuff. Now remember, when a piston here reaches its push limit and it can't push up any further, the one over on this side can keep pushing inwards, so this means we make a giant ice cube. And that is why I built this thing with birchwood, because we're going to go in here with our pick, and so if we build it out of stone, we'd accidentally mine some of that stuff as well, right? Now down the bottom here, we've got a bunch of detector rails, and this is where I want to start to change this design a little bit. If we go and slap this thing down on that rail, we can't actually see it fire, but you sort of saw it there. It's essentially a little bit slow. Let's do that again from up above. Alright, so here we go. Let's look at the pistons. So quite a few sort of fire at similar times, and they stay extended for a while. And also, as the minecart makes its way across, it slows down a little bit as well, which means you need extra space on the side to speed it up. So with just one rail, this thing is not going to get enough speed. And with the width of this farm, it's actually going to get stuck. So because it's wide, it means we have to use a lot more rails. And I'm looking for something a little bit more compact here. And my friends, that is why we needed so many observers. Crazy amount of them. They're all detecting from the bottom side, and so they're output upwards into these pistons. And down here I have prepared a block. Can I actually put the torch on top of it? No, we're too far away. So let's drop down there so we still have a gap. And we're going to pay attention to what the pistons do. And that was very, very fast. Now my thinking here is that we have the opportunity to make it so that one piston fires at a time. But that was really fast, and it kind of felt like maybe 2 or 3 of them were going at once. If we go over to this side though, I've set the ticks on the repeaters that are down below to 2, and now it definitely goes 1 at the time. And I'm thinking about the server intensity here, rather than having lots of pistons because they fire quickly or because we've got a minecart strolling along underneath. This way it's pretty precise, like it's one after the other. And so there is a row of repeaters down here. This is quickly going to get expensive, my friends, you know. So the signal will go in that direction, then it will turn around and come back down again, and it'll go all the way across this bottom area. Alright, that's a lot of redstone repeaters. This is looking like a very cool high-tech contraption at the moment. But we're about to run into a little bit of a problem. So, when the signal comes to the end here, we power the block, we power the redstone next to it. No problem, it's going to go back down again. But then when it gets to here, it's going to power that block there. If we bring it out further by 1, I think we can actually avoid this problem. Because then it would power this one, then we'd have redstone here and a repeater there. I mean, yeah, that would actually be a really simple way of doing this, and I was struggling to figure out what to do. So I asked on my Discord for a little bit of help, and I got 2 ideas. So now we've got 3 ideas in total, and I'm really not sure what one to go with. But this one I thought was kind of interesting. So if we do that, and we have a repeater pointing into this, and it's got an item inside of it, it will send the item into the hopper, and then the comparator will send the signal down there. Now we will have another dropper right next to it over here, but when that one gets powered, it's not going to do anything to the hopper, so that kind of works. The other method involves rails like this, and because I'm running low on gold, we're definitely not going to use this. The next one can simply be tiled over onto these 2 blocks like so. And so that observer will be closer, which means it's a real pain to place because you've got to go in there and be facing the right direction when you place it. But, you know, you can see what happens. The repeaters power the rails, the observer picks it up and then sends it down there. I think we're actually going to go with the hopper and comparator method. Let's also do a little test just to see how the pistons at the end will behave. So pretty slick. Huh. It changed the signal when it came back down. I was not expecting that. Alright, what about this? Looking good. Comes back down again. Oh, and of course, it'll stop here because I haven't put any more redstone in. And now all of that is in place. So we can focus on the input, which is this wire right here. Now there's a whole bunch of repeaters pulling off of this. This one goes into the block that powers the golden rails. And then we've got a couple of repeaters going into this wire to do the same thing all the way on the other side over there. Now what we have here are repeaters on 2 ticks that will be slightly behind these ones. So it means that that gets the fire first, then that one over here, and then these pistons. We don't want them pushing into the piston heads when they're extending. So there's 2 repeaters there, another one hidden under that block, and it means that it will fire after that one is done pushing. So all we've got to do now is create some sort of timer, and it's got to have a 2-tick input. And there it is, an EFO hopper clock. You know, I was wondering, is there a better clock than this in this game? It's so easy to work with and adjustable and classic design. I do wonder if anyone's ever come up with something more simple or compact. I'm not sure. But what we're going to do is put a torch on the end here. And maybe I would be smart to remove this block first so we don't accidentally activate the farm. Although it's going to get activated pretty quickly. The idea here though is that this should only go when that turns off, and it will create a 2... Did it? It just did it. Whoa. Okay, whoa. Okay, we got funkiness here and there. I think I know what's going on this end. Aha. What's going wrong? It's that block. It's that block there. Right. Because it powers it because of the observer, and that has created a clock, which is bad news. It is now working as intended, my friends, and I think we've actually created something here that halves, yes, it halves the amount of time from this thing, because when it pulls the block down, it doesn't create a signal, which I think is actually a good thing. And now I need to pick a time for how often this thing should activate. It should definitely be longer than when the last one has finished firing on the other end, which it is at the moment, but I think we've got like 19 blocks in here, and that is way too little. There is something that has happened to me too many times in this game. It's after you've spent all the hours doing design and testing, and then you spend a long time building, that you discover a fatal flaw, and I've discovered one. Oh my goodness me, why did I not see it earlier? Ice forms when there's a block adjacent, so ice can only form at the edge, and we had a full row form on both ends, but it means that ice would have formed going inwards one block at a time. So I've been looking at this, and I think I can put blocks underneath this end or underneath that end. Do you know what? There is actually a really big problem here. You know, I panicked for a second there. I thought if we put all of the blocks on the same side, then they wouldn't be able to regenerate again. That's only true, I think, if we block off the very end ones. And there, that seems to be fine, doesn't it? But I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to alternate it so that there are source blocks near the middle. And now the ice will grow far, far faster than it ever was going to do before. I've been logged on to Hermitcraft overnight. I made myself a little AFK area down here. And I've already gone up there and looked at it. This is amazing, okay? Wow, a giant ice cube. Check it out. I've always wanted to build this farm and see this site for myself. I wasn't sure what to expect. Would we have a full ice cube in the morning? Turns out that we do. That's fantastic. However, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this might not be enough. I need a crazy amount of ice because I'm going to turn it all into packed ice. So this might end up not being enough to satisfy my needs. And depending on how much I do need, I might not want to spend lots of nights AFKing over here. We might need a farm that produces even more ice than this. For now, though, you know what it's time for. I'm going to go up to the top and then work my way down. Everyone loves instant mining. It is satisfying. It is soothing. And now I've got a whole block of it to mine. All gone now, and as fun as that was, we didn't actually get a crazy amount of ice. You see, if this were to be turned into packed ice, that's only 2 stacks right there. In fact, I'm starting to think that packed ice is very, very expensive. So I'm going to leave this system running, but in the very middle, all the way up there at the top, when an ice block is pushed into that position, it's going to send a signal downwards and lock the clock over here. So when this thing is close to being filled up again, it will then turn itself off. And yes, that requires a manual reset, but I'm kind of done with this project for now, and I actually want to investigate if there's any better ways of getting our hands on more ice. So here in my test world, I've been playing around for a little bit. I've been thinking about the mechanics of growing ice and potentially other ways in which we could do so. The main thing that's really tricky is that you need to keep the blocks above where the ice is formed as air, and so moving the ice then becomes a little bit problematic when you also need to have water on either side of it to create the water in the middle to turn to ice. Now this here would have been perfect, but unfortunately the observer does not power a piston front, or better yet, the piston can't be powered from the front. So this would have pushed the block upwards, pulled back down again so water could be made in the middle, and then we could get this piston to start pushing it across, and then we can push it upwards, and we can push it in all manner of places, which might lead to a sort of one wide tileable design for an ice farm, which just means you can make it as big as you like, but that doesn't work. So then I started to think a little bit about using slime blocks to push and pull the ice, but the problem is you're going to extend this over and then pull the ice back into where the water was, and that isn't particularly helpful either. And then where do you go from there? Now, messing around with these slime blocks got me thinking about a flying machine, something that's going to go along and move over the top of where the ice was formed, but powering it might be tricky. We could have redstone blocks lining the side of where it flies, and immediately I thought of a problem with that. You see, if this slime block were to move forward and that piston was extended, it would probably leave it behind, but I think there is potentially a really good idea here. With all of this ice farming, I need to repair my pick, this Silk Touch one. That is an essential part of ice farming, right? And I was thinking about where to go, what XP farm to use. Ah, this one ran out of fuel. Interesting, it shouldn't have done that. Anyway, one of these down here will have some that I can extract. Let's take off all of our gear. I've got my Silk Touch pick in hand, and I didn't have my Silk Touch pick in hand. That was kind of stupid. Let's try that again. And fully repaired in one go. Oh my goodness me. That is absolutely awesome. So other ice farming ideas. I've come out here and done the classic. Just found some low laying area out here in a snowy biome, and then just filled it all up with water. But you'll notice here there are slabs, and that is to keep this as water. Whereas in the past what I've done is put the slabs like above them, so they block off the skylight, and you can have your water sources here to fill the pool back up after you start to harvest some of it, which I will do right now just to demonstrate to you. I was really hoping that the ice would form next to these blocks as well, which could actually be really useful, as they would be going through the middle and it would allow the farm and the ice to spread much faster. But you know, that is what you've probably seen time and time again. What I've got over here is pretty fantastic, okay? How do we get an update to those upside down pistons? Like, observer blocks will do the trick, right? I think we have to set off that one from this side. No, this one. Ha! Now look at the pistons facing downwards. They push downwards. And when they do that, they are above what could be water turning into ice, and then they are not, meaning it has access to the sky. So there is definitely something to this. Okay, this right here is as far as my pick can reach from down below. So if I'm down in this area mining upwards, that block ain't gonna go. So above there is where the water will be, and then that is going to be, I believe, that block right there. So that'll be water. When it turns into ice, it'll get pushed downwards. And if it can't push any further because it reaches the ground, that's fine. It shouldn't actually break the flying machine. You'll notice it also has all these extra blocks now. I've been counting up how many blocks it can fly with. It's 11 on each side, and if I add one more block, then it won't fly. So now it's a process of elimination. We need to make sure that there's actually water either side of where we're pushing these pistons downwards. So one of these is going to have to come out. I think it's that one there, because I placed one up the top. And now I've got to go through the process of like placing and removing. So I'm going to remove a slime block because I'm going to add, you know, a piston down at this height. Then I've got to go and remove another one because I want to put an observer above it. And there it goes, my friends. All we need now is to fill this thing up with water, right? Unfortunately, there are some downsides to this. I got so excited about building this flying machine that I didn't really think entirely about where the water was going to go. And so because of that, it means that our blocks are going to be formed from the middle. Oh, and did some form literally straight away, or was that an ice block that I left behind? I'm not sure. But anyway, we have these slabs around the outside here to stop the ice on the outside from freezing. And so that means that we're actually only going to have ice blocks forming on the inside. But once they form there, then they can form again on the next one and then over there. So it means the middles are going to fill up the quickest. I think there's more to this design. I think we might have to like move some of the pistons and add extra blocks for the ice to form off of. But then you run into problems of, you know, if you add more blocks like this for the ice to come off the side of, where does the water regenerate from? You know, so this will have to do for now. And have fallen down. So this is alright, I guess. Something really annoying about 1.13, it keeps trying to put me into swim mode, so I sort of bob up and down in the water while I'm mining the ice. And then I can't instantly break it while it does that, and you have to wait a second or two for the server to settle down. Tends to do it when I go near blocks like this. There you go. Sort of bobbed into swim mode for a second. But sometimes it sends you plummeting down with the water stream. Anyway, you know, I've been doing quite a bit of this, and if we look back over there, my friends, it is working. It hasn't produced a crazy amount of ice, but it's definitely produced a fair bit, and it's still producing it right now. That is awesome. And of course, because it's a flying machine, we could extend it quite some distance. Anyway, we're not going to do that today. Right now, we're going to talk about the interesting block. It is that block right there. Why is it interesting? Because there isn't one to the other side of it. So if ice formed there, then ice could form here. But without one there, it shouldn't be able to do that. And there's actually another interesting block over there. I really have no explanation for how that has managed to appear there. So this has been running for practically no time whatsoever. Well, I say that, but it's been running for a few minutes while I've been harvesting the farm over there. And we're not going to get a crazy amount from this, right? But you know, it is nice and easy to harvest, that's something to say. And over here it's coming all the way down to the ground. That's why we need to extend a platform like this further out. But I don't want to do that today. I think it's time to wait for some feedback from all of you. So if you have some ideas on improving this design, be sure to let me know, because it feels like it's a good one. It's a good one, but this is probably not the best way of doing it. And then there's this way as well. You know, what I really need is packed ice. And unfortunately, every 9 of these that I harvest is what I will need for 1 stack of packed ice. That is a little bit on the rough side. I wish Mojang had gone for like a 2x2 with that. I would also like to just pick up a bit of blue ice as well. And so there's none at this place. And there is another one just off in the distance somewhere. Well, this one is bigger, but it's quite sparse, and there is no signs of the rare blue ice. So if I can't find some, I'll need 9 stacks of this stuff just to make a stack of that. I think I see a little bit of it just over there. Oh, wow. Well, no, we've just literally swum right into it. This is the stuff that we want, the blue ice. Oh, and you can't instant mine it. Okay, so it's slow. What about packed ice? Yeah, packed ice is instant mine. Okay, but blue ice isn't. I was going to say this is in no way efficient, but I'm only here to test if it works with haste 1. Because if it works with haste 1, then it's probably worth throwing this down. Then again, there might just be a tiny amount of blocks here. Okay, we got that haste 1. No, you'll probably need haste 2 for it. Okay, I'm not going to bother with that size beacon. Alright, we got over 9 stacks of blue ice. Wow. And I've been finding a lot of it down under here. I've been doing some underwater excavating. You might be able to see some of the remains of areas that I've dug out. It actually kind of all just looks like like the underside of the iceberg. But yes, there's more of it hidden down there. And so, my friends, we return home to a place that may not look so sandy in the future, as we're going to go around and replace these giant sand walls with compressed ice. And I was probably a little bit naive to think that a regular ice farm would supply us with enough, because as you know, every 9 of these equals 1 of those. So we will probably be heading back out to some icebergs and harvesting them for compressed ice. But we did get a lot of it to begin with, so I'll start to be able to do some stuff real soon. Maybe even in the next episode. At this point in time, I just don't know what my plans are. And what is inside of here? Oh yes, look, I've got even more of this ice. Excellent. Anyway, that is where we're going to end this episode. I do hope that you have enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like on the video. As always, thank you so much for the support. And I'll see you soon with another episode of Hermitcraft. Bye-bye.